My name is Nick Poliak, and I'm very proud to welcome you to East Leyden High School. Before our choir performs the national anthem tonight, I want to make special note of the flagpole in our beautiful courtyard that was donated to the school district by Woodman Life. Please stand and join the Leyden Chamber Choir, located directly on my left, for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous skies were the ramparts we watched, were so carelessly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of those thirsty men. They flew through the night, and our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. Thank you to the Leyden Chamber Choir under the direction of Miss Stacy Cunningham. Thank you also to Woodman Life for their continued partnership with our district. Let's give them one more round of applause. Many of us gathered together on Dodge Field on March 15th, 2018 for a groundbreaking ceremony for this project. Along with the project at West Leyden, they marked the beginning of the largest construction projects in the history of Leyden High School District 212. We set out not only to improve and modernize our physical buildings, but also to improve the quality of education and opportunities our students receive. I'm confident that tonight you'll see a final product that has accomplished both those goals. Tonight, you'll find a brand new aquatic center that allows for swimming, diving, and water polo. We have a new girls' locker room that's located next to the field house instead of on the other side of the building. You'll explore this two-story cafeteria and commons with a modern serving area, varied seating options, and a student-run coffee and breakfast cafe upstairs. You'll find both a Leyden preschool for community children and a full 6-week-old to 5-year-old preschool and daycare that's powered by our new friends at Mary Sears Children's Academy. Those classrooms serve the children of our staff members, children of our partner school staff, and community children. Finally, you will see new band and choir spaces for our award-winning Leyden musicians. It's my honor and privilege tonight to recognize some of the people who helped pave the way for these projects, as well as some of the people who were able to join us for this occasion. The Leyden Boards of Education, both past and present, have taken oaths to be faithful protectors of the public resources. Their decisions, planning, and saving made the financing of these projects possible. It is truly outstanding that these projects were completed without a tax referendum or a tax increase to our local community. Please help me recognize the following people. Hold your names until I read all these names. Hold your applause until I read all these names. Richard Nardini, former board president, may you rest in peace. John Mick, former board member. Joan Granke, former board member. Jack Tobin, former board member. Joe Passetti, former board member. Our board president, Greg Ignoffo. Vice President, Gloria Maraska. Secretary, Jim Lima. And board members, Joe Trevino, Lisa Anthony, Sandy Bohm, Cesar Garcia, our student board members from West Leyden, Daniel Lechuga, and East Leyden, Isabella Laniuski, and our former student board member joining us tonight, Danilee Mata. Let's thank them for their leadership. In addition to our board, administrative and staff leadership have helped prepare Leyden for these projects. Again, please hold your applause for the following group as well. I'd like to recognize Dr. Kathy Robbins, who served as Leyden superintendent from 1999 to 2013. I'd like to thank Mr. Tom Janatius, our former chief school business official, and Patrick Hatfield, our current CSBO, who helped plan and organize the funding of these projects. We have our former buildings and grounds supervisors, Pete Menza and Ken Reyes, with us, our current supervisor, Randy Olinsky, and his entire maintenance crew. I also need to give a special recognition to East Leyden's former principal, Mr. Jason Markey. Jason dreamed up much of what became these new spaces. I remember vividly the day he came into my office with a sketch of what eventually became this project. Thanks for being here, and let's thank them for all of their work. Too numerous to mention, I'd like to thank all of our local elected officials, our senators, representatives, our mayors, our supervisors, our trustees, our park districts and libraries, our police and fire departments, all of which have always been and remain critical partners with our schools. I'd like to especially thank Franklin Park Mayor Barrett Peterson for his support and for living so close to this project, he got to experience the dust and the noise on a daily basis. Barrett, we hope the new view is appreciated, and we appreciate your patience. Let's recognize all of those partners. Now, we couldn't do any of this today without Mike Maselli, Jason Bielczek, and our East Leyden maintenance crew, Beth Kajawa and our food services department, Dana Jeske and Nicole Stockard and our family consumer science department, who made all the delicious food for you today. And they've got some special surprises waiting for you upstairs. Thank you to my assistant, Laura Danek, who helped organize this event and who helps organize my world every day. Let's give them a round of applause. Most importantly, I want to thank our community, our parents, our staff, and our students. The past few years have been difficult. They've been noisy and dusty and smelly and complex and challenging. I want to thank all of our staff and students for their patience as we manage to go about the business of school throughout this construction process. Please give them a round of applause. At Leyden, we are in the business of operating schools. So we rely on great partners to help design and build these renovations and additions. I want to thank our architects, Gunther Schmidt, Scott Piper, and their team at SPM Architects. I also want to recognize our construction managers, International Contractors Incorporated, Bruce Bronji, and their whole team. The partnership between SPM, ICI, and Leyden is a three-legged stool that helped see these projects through over the past few years. At this time, I'd like to ask Scott Piper and Bruce Bronji to come forward and share a few words with the group. Scott?
Thank you all. For the last several years, our office has been privileged to work with the Leyden District on a multitude of different projects. Some of them were simple building maintenance and upkeep. Some of them were enhancing the various educational spaces. Some of them were improving energy efficiency. But rarely do you get an opportunity to have a project which encompasses all of those things into one addition. This project does that on multiple levels, or at least we believe so. We designed the project to provide 4 distinct spaces, as Dr. Poliak mentioned. Yes, I am a little shorter. The natatorium, the cafeteria commons, the daycare, early childhood center, and the fine arts. We gave all of them a distinct personality and entrance and traffic flow on the outside to improve student traffic and safety. but also interconnected them all inside and gave them all an internal focus on the new courtyard. But the driving force of the whole addition was increasing the size of the cafeteria so you could just get more kids at lunch. But we wanted to do more than just a utilitarian space, and we wanted to create a space that functions as a gathering space, as a meeting space, as a student socialization space, and we think we've achieved that. It's a very large volume, and we tried to break it down into smaller space within the space by providing soft-seated areas, low-height partitions, multiple levels, and we think we've also managed to achieve that as well so that the kids can either be in the middle of all of it or off on the perimeter somewhat and experience the heart of the school without being overwhelmed by the volume of it all. Either way, we feel that all the kids that are here now, and hopefully we believe as the building matures in generations to come, this will continue to function in that way as the heart of the school and the heart of the Leyden student body. Thank you all very much.
I'm going to take my mask off. I just want to say that ICI is proud of the role that we got to play here in the transformation of East Leyden High School. We appreciate the opportunity to improve this facility, which has brought, needless to say, improved programming and more advantages to their students. There were a number of people that were involved in this project. I didn't build this myself, I can certainly tell you that. I just want to introduce a couple of them. From our marketing and business development, Katie Brangi and Joe Fahey, give a sign. Mark Poskin was here right from the beginning with our handling all the pre-construction, and then Jason Wasser. Jason, stand up. Jason was our project manager here. It was his job to coordinate all the materials that went into this job, and you hear about supply chain now. That was not a problem at this project. Also, the two people that are not here tonight that deserve some recognition are Brian Chadwick, who's a senior superintendent with us, and then the last but not least is Terry Field, and Terry's our director at K-12, and Terry is passionate about education. Joe and Mark, could you come up? I didn't tell Nick that I was doing this tonight, but from the moment that my wife and I started to have children, my father-in-law always told me that the one thing that you can give your children that will last a lifetime is an education. So, needless to say, when I took over the family business, education was a platform for us. So with that, we'd like to make this donation to the Leyden Education Foundation of $10,000. I know that this money will be used well to help educate the students here at Leyden. Thank you.
Such a wonderful surprise, I almost lost my speech. Thanks, Bruce. That is outstanding. We appreciate that more than you know. And we'll make sure that it makes a difference in the lives of kids here at Leyden. Thank you again, Bruce and Scott and your teams. I hope that you're as proud of these new spaces as we are. Now it's my honor to give up the stage to our principal at East Leyden, Dr. Dominic Minola, who's also going to introduce our former East Leyden student board member, Dana Lee Mata. Dana Lee was supposed to speak at this event 2 years ago, and we had to cancel it for obvious reasons. She went off to college and is doing great things, and she managed to rearrange her schedule to come back and be here tonight 2 years later. And then they'll turn it over to our school board president, Mr. Greg Ignofo. And so Dominic Minola, please step up. Let's welcome Dominic to the microphone.
Thank you, Dr. Poliak. It's wonderful to be here this evening to celebrate such an amazing moment and opportunity for our students, our staff, and our community. I'd like to echo what Dr. Poliak said, as you recognize so many amazing individuals and groups that helped make this happen. Without your dedication, your passion, and your relentless belief in doing what's best for the kids, we wouldn't be here for today. In many ways, as I stand up here, I feel as though I don't deserve to be speaking on behalf of everyone who took part in this, especially since I had the amazing opportunity to come into this role just as this incredible new space was opening. The recognition, celebration, and thanks go to all who made this happen before I even arrived. So once again, I'd like to thank all the incredible leaders and visionaries who helped make this a reality. There's not a day that goes by, still, where you won't catch students or staff members walking into the space without a look of awe and inspiration. Can you believe this? This is for us? Seriously? And that's just a few of the comments you'll hear as our Eagles move throughout these spaces, and sometimes they're far more animated comments than those. Certainly, as you look around, you know that this space is second to none. There's not a high school, or really any school, around that can match the beauty and openness of the spaces that you'll get to explore this evening. And they are absolutely stunning. But this space is so much more than just a new place for our students and staff to gather and be together. This space is an inspiration. It's an opportunity. It's a representation of everything we believe in at Leyden. In this space, students can be all that they're meant to be. They can grow, explore their passions, and continue challenging themselves. In one moment, students gather for lunch, and in another, they move about for independent seminar. On a Saturday morning, nearly 500 Eagles can gather in this space for Make a Difference Day, and on a chilly September night during homecoming week, countless students can gather here for a movie night. For our swimmers, divers, and coming soon, our water polo players, they can push themselves to continue doing what they love in a space that is absolutely breathtaking. And for our musicians, they get to do what they do in spaces that rival major universities and colleges. Honestly, we have been told by many collegiate music instructors that they're envious of our spaces. Today, we gather, but not to celebrate a new space. Instead, we gather to celebrate all that we are here at Leyden and all that this space represents. We celebrate opportunity, we celebrate togetherness, and we celebrate everything leading up to this moment and everything that's ahead. That's what this new space means, and that's why we're here today. So with that, I'd like to introduce to you Ms. Danilee Mata, East Leyden alumnus from the class of 2020. Danilee served as our student board member during the 2019-2020 school year and played a huge role in helping us get here today. Before I turn it over to Danilee, I'd like to also recognize our current student board member, Ms. Isabella Lanuski. You'll notice she's not here to join us this evening because in true Leyden fashion, she had another obligation as she is currently in the middle of a regional volleyball game with our Eagles. So to our girls volleyball team, go get them. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Danilee Mata to the stage. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. As Dr. Manola mentioned, my name is Danilee Mata, and I'm a class of 2020 graduate that served on the Board of Education my senior year. I have so much love for Leyden and everything it did to shape me into not only the student, but the person I am today. And that is why I'm very honored to be speaking at this ceremony. In my eyes, this ribbon cutting stands for so much more than celebrating a beautiful addition to the building. It celebrates Leyden as a whole, because this wing encompasses everything Leyden and the Board of Education is about. When I first met the board members, I was extremely intimidated, but I soon realized how dedicated they are to living up to their motto, doing what's best for the kids. This wing is incredibly student-focused and is the perfect demonstration of the Leyden motto. From the very beginning, students were involved in the process, from painting a collaborative mural to touring the spaces. The incorporation of music lockers, the outdoor courtyard paths, opportunities for students to get real-world culinary experience, and the spacious athletic locker rooms show how the overall design was made to improve the student experience. This space allows for students to find their passion in athletics or music or early childhood education and the culinary arts. And as a current band student myself, I can tell you that, as Dr. Manola said, these facilities are nicer than most university facilities. And the same can be said for the aquatics complex. These incredible resources allow students to commit to excellence and perfect their craft in a way like never before, which reminds me to congratulate the girls volleyball team on a very impressive 2021 season. And finally, the new wing gives students the opportunity to come together like they did on Make a Difference Day so they can spread kindness and serve the local community. We're an Eagle family in a little nest we call East Leyden, and that's why we take care of our own. Staff members can enroll their kids in the daycare facility, and students have access to counselors and a courtyard to relax with friends. And while, yes, I only got to use the space for 2 weeks myself before the pandemic hit, my little sister, a current sophomore, has been pretty great about not rubbing it in my face that she gets to use it every day. I joke with her that I'm just a little bit jealous, but mostly I'm so glad that everyone gets to use it, because this edition is truly what's best for the kids. It helps them find their passion and commit to excellence, whether it be on the diving board or in the band room. And I'm so grateful that you all kindly invited me back to speak about it. Thank you.
I could have done that. Well, welcome everybody. It is always difficult to follow one of the Leyden students when you're given remarks. Well done, Natalie. Thank you for being here. And thank you all for being here today as we celebrate the official opening of the East Campus expansion. While these facilities have been in operation for many months, in one way or another, we are finally able to ceremoniously open them for learning. This is a long road traveled from the opening of the original structure in 1927 at a cost of $125,000. Our annual utility bills far exceed that amount today. There has been so much time, talent, and commitment put into what we enjoy here today that unfortunately time does not permit me to acknowledge the many individuals or groups that have contributed to this final project. However, there are 3 individuals and 1 group that I will acknowledge. Earlier today, there was a celebration of life honoring Richard Nardini. Rich was a member of the school board for 36 years, and its president for 29 of those years. Rich retired from the board in 2005. It was because of the leadership of Richard Nardini that the district was able to first purchase the annex across the street in 2009, increasing the campus footprint by over 50%, and then complete $100 million of expansion and improvements without asking the taxpayers for additional dollars. In 2007, then Superintendent Dr. Catherine Robbins, started the conversation on the possibility of acquiring the old Thompson Steel facility, now known as the Annex. There was a full year of negotiations, site inspections, before we closed on the property in January of 2009. Then the process of clearing the environmental challenges and the old industrial structure started. The Annex consumed a significant amount of Dr. Robbins' time over a 5-year period. Without Dr. Robbins' commitment to the Annex, the Annex would not have happened, and thus these facilities would not be what they are today. In 2013, Dr. Poliak arrived here at Leyden. In addition to all of the superintendent responsibilities made more challenging by being new to the district, Dr. Poliak took on the development and completion of the Annex. The permanent parking and athletic fields were dedicated in 2015. While still completing the finishing touches on the Annex, Dr. Poliak started looking at modernizing the 2 aging grand buildings, East and West. and working to remove the limitations on how we deliver curriculum. The initial conversations leading to what we see here today and the improvements at West started at the countless hours of what would it look like, followed by how much would it cost, and then how would we pay for it. Having satisfied the core of these questions, Dr. Poliak charged himself with the task of modernizing the way in which our kids learn and our teachers practice their craft. Already with his plate abundantly full of superintendent responsibilities, Dr. Poliak never hesitated in taking on these additional challenges. In fact, he aggressively pursued them, knowing that ultimately our kids and our community would benefit. And as I had mentioned, there were 3 individuals and 1 group that I would like to acknowledge. So in addition to Rich, Kathy, Nick, I'd like to acknowledge the taxpayers. We are very grateful that the Leyden community continues to support the innovative programs for the betterment of our students. Rich, Kathy, and Nick, and the entire Leyden community, it was with an abundance of Leyden pride. We thank you, you and your teams, for your leadership, your vision, and your dedication. You have made East and West grand, modern buildings. Thank you.
I can't even say that I paid him for those kind words because he's my boss. Thank you, Dominic, Danilee, and Greg. As we begin to wind down tonight, I'd like to remind you of what happened at that groundbreaking ceremony. We invited students from our partner elementary districts to place the first shovels in the ground. Today, we're going to bring elementary students forward once again to help us cut the ribbons and officially open and dedicate our addition and our renovations. This is so important because these buildings are for our current students, but they're also for the generations of Leyden Eagles that are coming in the future. So at this point, I'm going to ask those students to come forward, half over here and half over here. I'm going to ask board members Anthony and Lima to come forward and prepare the ribbons. And so if students want to come forward on this side over here, and students over here, Lisa's going to join this group as we get ready. Jim's going to join this group over here. While they're doing that, I want to recognize just a little bit of Leyden history. This edition that we're in right now sits on the site of historic Dodge Field. Prior to 1981, this was the home football field for the maroon and white East Leyden Eagles. It's where our state championship football team practiced and played on a daily basis when they were students. When we took down the bleachers, we saved and cleaned bricks and gave those to the Leyden alumni who played on this field. If you look outside the walls of this space, you will see maroon panels as a nod back to the original East Leyden colors. Also, to my left, near the entrance, you'll see a white line painted on the floor. If you follow that line to the wall, you'll find a plaque that reads, "The line below marks the location of the 50-yard line of East Leyden High School's historic Dodge Field. It's highlighted to celebrate the generations of athletes and coaches that represented Leyden here and the inspiration they still provide today." Hall of Fame coach Jack Leese is with us tonight. Jack, please stand up and be recognized. When this project concluded, the Leyden Board of Education approved another phase of this work. On the north side of the property, we installed an artificial turf field that serves our soccer and football programs as well as our physical education courses. The field was also lined for lacrosse as we think about flexibility into the future. We reinstalled a walking track because we removed the original one around Dodge Field. We hope that this new field also proves useful for our community's youth programs in the years to come. As part of that project, we also removed our 6 tennis courts at East and built 8 brand new tennis courts with lights closer to Cal Wagner. Following that project, we replaced the running track at West Leyden, and we're now in the process of replacing the Eagle's Nest, or the concession stand over at West Leyden. On behalf of our school board, our administration, our staff, our students, and our community, I'd like to thank you for coming today to take part in this historic ribbon cutting. Following the ceremonial cutting of the ribbons, I'd like to personally invite all of you to explore the addition. We have students and administrators in the back that are waiting to give you tours of the project. Just so you know, behind me, band and choir rooms. Behind me over here, our child care center. In front of me, our cafeteria and serving area. Beyond there, the aquatic center and the locker rooms. You can go and explore all of these new areas tonight. There's an elevator waiting for you at the end of the hallway if you need that as you go up and down stairs. Our culinary students have made special treats for you at their Bold and Gold Cafe upstairs, so there's so much to explore. Having said all that, if we can have a drum roll, please, at your places. Students and board members, get ready to cut your ribbons as I count down. I did ask for a drum roll, and I haven't heard anybody out there helping me out, so that's much better. 3, 2, 1, go! Thank you so much for coming tonight, and everyone have a wonderful evening. Enjoy your tours and enjoy the beautiful facilities. Thanks so much.